On today's video, we're going to the deep end of an ocean of yacht rock, and I'm bringing you guys aboard for the journey.
Eller back here, keeping it solid.
It's your good buddy Captain Uncle Ben, and welcome to a brand new installment of Monsters of Yacht. Soft rock that f***s hard. Slogan might be a little too aggressive for the content. Some of you guys might remember about a year ago whenever I made a video about my time playing guitar for Knoxville's premier yacht rock sensation tribute act, Smooth Sailor. That one was a ton of fun, and I just recently got a call from those guys asking for a fill-in show on the big guitar, so of course I obliged. Thought it'd be a great thing to bring you guys along for the journey and show you all some of the work that goes into getting ready for a gig like this. Because these tunes are really difficult, really challenging, some very jazz-influenced chord progressions, crazy key changes and structures. It's actually quite a lot of work to sound so doggone smooth. The band has also added a ton of new songs to their repertoire since last time, so I'm excited to work through those and show you guys how I approach learning a bunch of tunes in a short amount of time. So mix yourself up a pina colada, grab the nearest life vest, and join me for a voyage of yacht rock magic. As always, this video is brought to you guys by everybody who supports my channel over on my Patreon page, patreon.com/BenEllerGuitars. Sign up today for downloadable tabs, bonus lessons, backing tracks, and so much more. This week, everybody who supports my channel, even at just that $1 a month level, is going to get access to a turbo-long version of this video that features even more live show footage, practice footage of me going through the tunes, and much more. So don't delay, sign up today. Gear-wise, for this video, I'm going to be playing this lovely new Fender American Professional 2 P-Bass that I just got from the fine folks over at Sweetwater. I've needed a P-Bass in my collection for a long time, and Fender started doing these American Professional 2s, and I just knew that this was the right one to get. It's got all kinds of features that I like. String-through body design, but you can also top-load it if you want. I love this neck heel where it's just cut off just on the corner. Makes that upper fret access so much better. Not that that really matters. I spend more time down here in the cash register than in the upper register, if you know what I mean. Ah, what a fine piece of timber it is. So I've got a little bit of time here before the show, and I've already started on the most important thing of the learning process, which is the listening process. Every time I get a gig like this, the first thing that I do is I make a Spotify playlist of all the material that's going to be in the set. I'll put a link to the Spotify playlist that I made down there in the video description too, so that way you guys can check it out. It's like, I think 40-something songs, over 3 hours of material. After I make the playlist, I basically just listen to it obsessively. Like if I'm making coffee in the morning, I've got the playlist on. If I'm driving somewhere, I've got the playlist on. If I'm working out in the gym, I'm getting a really odd pump to, Sailing by Christopher Cross on. I just listen to it all the freaking time to try to internalize these tunes. That way I know what's coming before it even gets there, even if I don't necessarily know how to play it yet. I'm going to play through some of the tunes that I'm working on right now and show you guys some of the coolest things going on inside of them. I am unfortunately going to be doing this with the playlist attached to some earbuds right here, because if I use the actual music in this video, it will certainly get blocked, if not completely removed, and get a strike against my channel. Most of these songs are by 70s artists. That means they made a lot of money actually playing music. That means they have a legal team that's devoted to just nuking videos where anybody touches their songs. Hopefully just the bass lines on their own won't really be too big of a tip-off. Don't tell. Don't be a snitch, okay? So let's go through some of these new tunes, and I'll walk you guys through some of the cooler parts of them. Thunder Island by Jay Ferguson. Here's a new one that's been added to the set list since last time. It's not like a really technical song or anything, but there's some weird things structure-wise in it that are hard to remember. A lot of sections go through like 3 times instead of the industry standard 4. Biggest Part of Me by Ambrosia. Come on, dude. Those guys are definitely running a train on your mom. You can tell. You'll notice I do this move a lot. It's all over basically any of the stuff that uses a major chord. So that's going to be the 5 of that chord, root 5th, 5th down an octave, which makes this note the 6. That is just a perfect little 2-note walk up to the root note of any chord. Like if I was on C, there it is again, 5th, 6th, root. So common, always effective. Nothing from Nothing by Billy Preston. This is another new one to the set that I've never played before. Nothing that crazy about this one other than the fact that if you think about it, if you take that chord progression and slow it down, isn't that The Black Parade by My Chemical Romance? All right, a couple days out from the show. I'm chilling here in the studio working through these tunes some more with my homegirl Carm representing here. I'm starting to think a little bit about the gear that I'm going to be taking to this show. The primary bass I'm going to play is definitely this Fender P. I have been enjoying playing this thing so much ever since I got it. It's so comfy to play. One of my favorite things about it is that, okay, the fretboard has that typical vintage glossy Fender look, right? Which looks so cool, but I don't usually like glossy necks, especially if it's going to be an outdoor, humid, summertime show like this is going to be. But the cool thing about this is the back is satin. It feels like really velvety and smooth. It's awesome. So it still has that Fender classic look, but on the back, it's super nice and modern. So I'll be taking this guy right here to the show as my primary bass. One song that's in the set list by the artist that shall not be named, but I'll give you a hint. Caw, caw, caw. I can't even say their name because they're so bad about blocking stuff. But it involves a lot of stuff like that in the bass line. Again, hint, hint. Root 5th octave. This is your best buddy as a bass player. I think I first got into a lot of the stuff because of like Geddy Lee. But the cool thing about this is whenever you play root 5th octave, you have 3 different notes to bounce on for a groove. But then also the cool thing is too, especially in a song like this is really handy, if it's major, root 5th octave works. If it's minor, root 5th octave works. It's kind of like the cheese pizza of chord shapes you can do on a bass. So if in doubt, root and 5th it out. It's always going to sound good. Yes, another Steely Dan classic. Believe it or not, this is the first time I've ever learned Reelin' in the Years. What the hell, right? Huge Steely Dan fan, but for some reason I've never learned this song before. yeah. Freaking Sledgehammer, Peter Gabriel. Again, never learned this song before. It's so cool. So the bass setup on this is really weird. Of course, this bass line is by the incredible Tony Levin, who you like metal guys like myself maybe know from playing with freaking Liquid Tension Experiment with like the Dream Theater guys. What the hell? Monster bass player. One of the most recorded bass players of all time. And his setup on this is really strange because he's playing a fretless Ernie Ball Music Man with a pick. Like, all of those things are weird on their own, but combined, it's like, this is the only place you can really hear that bass sound. It's really interesting. And he's got some kind of an octave effect on there, probably that Boss octave pedal that everybody has. I might try to bum one of those for a show. I don't have one, but even if you just play it on its own, it's still just such a jamming bass line, man. That was so fun. I Just Want to Be Your Everything by Andy Gibb. So now we're doing Bee Gees solo songs. I had never learned this before. I'd heard it a few times, I guess, but holy crap is this song ever weird. But at the same time, I am super stoked to do it because our drummer, Andy Campbell, who is also the drummer for Skank Banger and some of the other bands I play with, he does the most insane, like, Bee Gees falsetto voice of anybody I've ever heard. Seriously, Andy Campbell is the most talented musician in Knoxville. Guy's a freak. So he's going to sing this one while playing the drums. No big deal. So it's worth it for me to learn this one just to get to play it with him. Drummer extraordinaire, Andy Campbell. There he is. Cam, give me a beat.
I can't.
Now, amp-wise, for the past couple of years, I've been using this Dark Glass AO900 head, which is amazing and super lightweight. I can fit it in the front of a gig bag, so it doesn't really get much better than that. This might seem like a weird choice because the AO is the Alpha Omega line, which can do these like insanely brutal, like high gain, God forbid I say the word genty bass tones, but it can definitely do that super modern thing. Because it was built around having that onboard dirt, they made the preamp section super warm and fat and vintagey sounding. That way, when you put the dirt on it, it doesn't get like super sterile and cold sounding. So crazy enough, if you run this amp with the dirt off, it sounds amazing. Freaking Steely Dan, guys, FM. This is a new one. I have never learned this song before. I never heard this song before they added it to the set list. And guess what? It's freaking awesome. If that made no sense just hearing the bass line on its own, guess what? Hearing all the chords doesn't really help either. It is a really weird song. One of the most complicated Steely tunes that I've learned, period. Oh, What a Night, December 1963, Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. I don't really like this song, to be honest, but it is pretty fun to play. And again, a great one to learn on bass, learn your major scale really well. And it's also a good example of a bass line that be haunted. There's so many ghost notes up in this thing, it be haunted. It's not really the same if you just play it straight. That's so much more square sounding. But the little ghosts in there really add a lot to it. Pretty fun song. Your Smiling Face by James Taylor goes way harder than it has to. Like, seriously, like, does this look like the face of a funky guy to you? It does not to me. James Taylor has been the most perpetually middle-aged person that has ever walked the face of this earth. And I don't really think of his stuff as being funky, except for this stuff that has bass on it by the incredible Leland Sklar. Lee Sklar, dude, if you don't know that guy, trust me, you know that guy. You have been listening to him your entire freaking life. You could wallpaper Biltmore Estate with his resume. Seriously, the guy has played on every freaking thing you've ever heard. And it's because he is a boss. Usually he plays like pretty reserved, just kind of plays to the tune. But this definitely sounds like one of those ones where they let him off the leash and was just like, man, just get out there and let that thing eat a little bit. Rock With You by Michael Jackson. Awesome, awesome song. I have a lesson on my channel on how to play all the chords on guitar. So I have learned this song on guitar before. I don't think I've ever played it on bass. And again, this is where this can get really hard, knowing these songs on both instruments. There's a lot of times in these tunes where the guitar chord shape will be telling you you're playing one particular thing, but the bass note will be something completely different. So like in this song, for example, there's a couple times in here where the guitar is playing what feels like an F sharp chord. So I want to play F sharp on bass to get that sound. But in reality, what's going on is the guitar is playing the F sharp chord, but the bass is playing the G sharp bass. So it gets really confusing sometimes knowing these things. You got to keep track of who's doing what. That is the stuff right there, the good old-fashioned Sansamp bass driver DI from Tech 21. This thing has been around for freaking ever. This is not the newer style one that has the adjustable mids and stuff. This is just the regular old school one, and I love it so much. This thing just makes bass tones sit exactly where they need to be in the mix. You can take it and plug it into literally any backline bass amp and make it sound amazing, plus send that great tone to front of house so it always sounds consistent and awesome everywhere you go. I've even played shows with this and no amp, and just playing on like in-ears or on monitors or whatever, right? Don't even bring an amp. Just bring your bass in this, and that's all that you need to play a show. It's an amazing pedal. Let me show you what I mean. Sounds awesome. You can hear it scoops a lot of the mids out, which is fine. I know a lot of you guys watching this are guitar guys, and you're like, mids are where the tone is. Yes, it is for guitar. The fact that mids are where the tone is for guitar means that me on bass, I need to stay out of the mid-range frequencies. Leave that for the guitar to eat up a lot of space, So you can actually scoop your mids more than you think you can on bass, especially when it's a P bass that's already really mid-rangey. Okay, here's another one with confusing stuff if you know the guitar part and you're learning it on bass. Josie by Steely Dan. Because the bass part's nothing like the guitar part. Oh yeah, a little LRB, never hurt nobody. You Make Me Feel Like Dancing by Leo Sayer, the world's greatest Richard Simmons impersonator. Little Hey 19, Steely Dan there. You might notice one technique that I'm doing right there. I'm fretting the note with my first finger, and I'm actually muting the note with my left hand fingers in front of it. Here it sounds real fat and subby, almost like I have like flats on the bass instead of rounds. Now check this out, if I take that off, it's like really clear, really bright, really in your face. But whenever you mute it like that, it's kind of like palm muting back here on the bridge for us guitar players, you know, but you're doing it on this side of the string instead. Really cool, really funky sounding. That's definitely something I picked up from like Rocco Prestia from Tower of Power, who's one of my favorite players. Absolute monster player. Check him out sometime. Can you even call yourself a yacht rock band if you don't play Escape, the Pina Colada song? Of course you can't. Sometimes we get asked if we do any like Jimmy Buffett, because it seems like that's a fine line between songs like, yeah, Pina Colada song and Jimmy Buffett. I'm going to clarify, Jimmy Buffett is trop rock, tropical rock, okay? This is yacht rock. It's totally different. As far as pedals goes, I might bring like my little MXR bass compressor. There's a little bit of slap stuff in the set. A little compression always makes that a little easier to do. Maybe my Boss chorus. I just use the Boss like CE2 guitar chorus pedal. That thing sounds amazing for some of these more oceany, watery bass tones. I might do that. And, you know, a tuner. I think that's basically all that I need to bring. Now, personally, I can go for that. God, I love Hall & Oates. By the way, the band's not called Hall & Oates. It's called Daryl Hall and John Oates. That's some Mandela effect stuff right there, right? Because we all call them Hall & Oates. It's Daryl Hall and John Oates. Just like how the band isn't called The Eagles. They're called Eagles. What? Like, when did that change? Somebody totally, like, hacked into the Matrix and changed that at some point while none of us were looking. It's crazy. Somebody's Baby, Jackson Browne. That's another one of these tunes that has some great slap action happening in it. That bass part is way funkier than the song needed, and I love it. It's so good, man. So, you know, once again, this is where the Sans amp really comes in handy. Like, doing slap stuff with that scooped mid is just where it's at. Like, if I turn the Sans amp off and do that same thing, it's like way more mid-rangey. The bottom end's not as big. Just nowhere near as fun to play. So I've been playing along with the tunes tonight and making a ton of mistakes. And that's totally okay, because I will also make mistakes at the show. I think one of the biggest mistakes we can make as players is to get on stage and tell yourself, I'm going to play a perfect show. Or to plan the whole time before the gig, I'm going to play this perfect and never miss a single note. I think that is a recipe for disaster. I can tell you that because I've done that before. And what happens is you get on stage and you make a mistake, because I don't know about you guys, but I am a human. So I get up there and I blow something and it like totally shatters my game plan. Making a mistake wasn't in my plan. Oh no, what am I gonna do? I gotta like overcompensate and fix it. And oh no, now I messed up again because I'm trying to show off to make it look like I didn't mean to make a mistake. Like, it's just a recipe for disaster. But what I found works for me anyway is I get up on stage being like, I'm gonna blow a few things tonight. And then when it happens, I'm not even surprised. It doesn't break my concentration. It doesn't shatter my confidence. In a way, I'm doing what I said I was gonna do. And then I just pick it right back up and keep on moving. If anything, I might make that same mistake again. And that way it sounds like it was on purpose, you know? So yeah, don't go in expecting perfect. That's always a recipe for failure. You know, if this is the bass I'm going to be playing at the show, I should probably take all the protective plastic off of it. Otherwise, people are going to think I stole it or something. So let's take care of that. So sensual. The most funnest part of getting a new instrument, of course. Peeling off that plastic. Oh, baby. Gotta peel it off the pickups here too, because that's where the tone lives, y'all. Get off of there. Now we're talking. Raw dog. Woo! So there you go, guys. We weathered ourselves another voyage among the stormy and turbulent seas of yacht rock. It's a great time, really fun show. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Huge thanks to Smooth Sailor for having me aboard once again. And a big thanks to Merchants of Beer for hosting the show, and to everybody who came out to the show. It was awesome seeing all of you guys. Much appreciated. If there's a particular song on the set list that you guys would like to see a Monsters of Yacht episode dedicated to, let me know in the comments section, and I'll oblige in the near future. And also, if you guys want to see some more big guitar related content here on my channel, let me know in the comments section, because this show was such a great reminder for me of how much I love playing bass. I know that for a lot of guitar players, playing bass is kind of like being grounded from solos and playing guitar and shredding and stuff, but I don't see it that way at all. It's its own instrument. It's so fun, it's so rewarding, and it can be so creative to play bass. I actually wanted to play bass way before I started on guitar, but my family didn't have any basses, so I just played my brother's guitars and stuff, and it kind of took off from there. But yeah, this was originally supposed to be my primary instrument, and I love it so much. So let me know if you guys want to see some more bass-related content, and I will be happy to do that in the future. Well, guys, it's been fun as always, but it's time for your good buddy Uncle Ben here to go make himself a pina colada and do some sunning out on the deck. So I'll catch you guys later. Less clicking, more picking.